What is up, everybody? This is Michael C, and I'm gonna do this video a little bit differently. I'm about to, brush my hair, get the waves on point, and all that. Got my Cantu. Look at this right here. Just half and half. Couldn't think of the name of it. But yeah, about to brush my hair, and while I do this, I'm going to talk to you guys about a little something that I've been wanting to make a video about. And as you can see by the title, it's going to be something along the lines of something that you're not doing, something that you're not incorporating that you can easily incorporate right now to add to your training and just overall your progress in this powerlifting journey. So anyway, let's begin. All right, guys, so I'm gonna start this off by telling you guys a little anecdotal story about myself, and it starts with my first meet back in August of 2017. Well, actually starts a little bit before that meet. So basically leading up to that meet, obviously I was ready to compete and everything, but I had been following powerlifting for a while before that, and I knew, some of the guys in my weight class, mostly in my weight class, and some of the other ones as well. But I remember back then, seeing how crazy strong everybody was, especially in my weight class, and just thinking, man, I probably will never be able to get anywhere near any of that. Seeing people in my weight class squatting in the mid to high 500s, benching, mid to high 3s, and pulling, 600 and beyond. So I finally decided anyway that I was ready to compete in August. Once again, signed up for the meet and everything, but didn't really have crazy expectations. Well, I take that back. My expectations were pretty high for myself at that time. But when I say not crazy, I mean in terms of not really being competitive in the class. Especially considering at this time, obviously being new to competing, I didn't really expect it to really do much. But anyway, leading up to the meet, I ended up squatting 550, benching 340, I believe, and pulling 600. Granted, this was all at a commercial gym on bumper plates and all that, so those numbers were probably not quite where they were in the gym, which is obviously why that's a big reason why when I finally did compete, my numbers were quite a bit less on everything. I squatted, I think 512, and I benched 330, and I pulled 573, which that was a pretty good first meet, but still in my head I was like, man, I'm just so far off, the top of the class. And anyway, going to Raw Nationals, once again, I ended up squatting 523, I benched 347, and I pulled 595, which was good enough for third in the juniors and sixth in the open at that time, which, even still, I was kind of like, I'm not anywhere near, the top of the weight class, which is ridiculous looking at it now, since obviously my first nationals, my second USAPL meet, to end up placing third in the juniors and sixth in the open that's very good. But anyway, after that, I still kind of had this mindset where I'm not quite ready to, compete at the top of the class, and I'm just so far behind all these other guys, because despite even doing as well as I did, I still wasn't anywhere near, obviously Taylor Atwood being at the top at that time. I want to say he was squatting around 578, 584 or something like that, benching. I still remember seeing him bench 425 in person and thinking, wow, this is just crazy, to be for anyone to be benching that at 74 kilos and pulling mid to high 600s. I still remember seeing all that and just being amazed. But anyway, after this, let's go into February. I checked my email and I managed to receive an invite to IPF Worlds as a 74 kilo junior. And obviously, when I saw that email, I was super ecstatic. I was so excited. And you know, before this, I didn't feel like I was anywhere near, you know, that type of level. I still remember back in like 2013, 2014, watching Johnny Candido's videos and seeing him competing at IPF Worlds and just being like, man, to ever be able to get anywhere near that would be, you know, just crazy for me. And so to finally get that email, obviously I was bouncing off the walls. But I still didn't really quite feel like I deserved it, that I was ready, or any of that. And then I found out that Blake LaHue, which if you don't know who he is, he's another guy that used to compete USAPL, and he was like the second top 74 right behind Taylor Atwood. So I found out that we're both going to be competing against each other. And so after that, it was kind of something that turned on in my head. I was like, you know what, even though I'm nowhere near this other guy, Blake LaHue, right now, all right, my battery died, so I had to give it a little bit of extra juice to finish this video out. But we're gonna pick up where we left off. But as I was saying, even though you know, I was at that time nowhere near where Blake LaHue was, I was like, you know what, I got the invite, I'm going to Worlds, so I'm about to show up and I'm not about to get embarrassed, you know. So at that time, I was prepping for the Arnold in March. So you know, obviously I already wanted to do well going into the Arnold, but after that, I was, you know, I really, really, really wanted to do well, and then I wanted to do even better going in the World. So I ended up at the Arnold squatting 556, benching 358 with a lot left in the tank because I'm an idiot and messed up my second attempt, but we're not gonna go into that. And I ended up pulling 606, which obviously the 606 wasn't a huge PR, it was a little 2.5 kilo PR, but the squat and especially the bench were both massive PRs from nationals. And then going into Worlds, I ended up squatting the junior world record at that time, which was 590 pounds. I benched 391 and I pulled, unfortunately, I only ended up getting my opener then, which was 567. But I saw massive improvements on both my squat and my bench. And you know, a lot of that has to do with just my overall mindset changing, you know, going from I'm not sure, you know, if I'm ready to compete at level XYZ, I don't think I'll ever be able to attain this and that, to, you know what, I can do this. And especially like with my bench, because I was dealing with injuries and things like that around that time period. So, you know, I really took that time to really emphasize my bench more than ever, which I say all the time, that's a huge reason why I saw so much progress with my bench between 2017 and now. You know, I went from benching around 330 to now I'm benching in the mid fours. So, and that has a lot to do with it, you know, expanding what I thought that I was capable of in my head, which that leads me to the next thing, which was changing how I approach my deadlifts, because you know that for me, for the longest time, it was kind of just one of those things where I just kind of brushed it off. I was like, okay, I'm just not good with deadlifts. I'm never going to be good with them. So it's always going to be the lift where, you know, I'm going to be a strong squatter, a strong bencher, And I'm basically gonna just rely on those two and just hope that I don't get out pulled. Hold on, look here. But yeah, so that was my approach pretty much all the way until Raw Nats 2018. And you know, after that, you know, leading up to because I won the junior division at Raw Nats 2018, and I ended up placing third in the open. And so I ended up getting the junior invite again, but this time I actually won. I actually earned it. So, you know, I was even more excited and ready to go. And, you know, like I said, leading up to this point, I pretty much had just accepted in my head that I was a bad puller and that I was always gonna be bad at pulling. But then, you know, I started kind of watching the other guys in my class, seeing them all pulling, you know, in the high sixes, in the mid to high sixes, and some of them even getting near 7, which now we have several guys that have either pulled 7 or are getting close to pulling 7 in the 74s, which is ridiculous. By 7, I mean 700 pounds. But yeah. It was around that time where I started to look at what other guys were doing, and I was like, you know what, if all these other guys are able to do this, then what am I doing? I have no excuse. You know, my squat was right there with all the other top guys, which by this time, you know, I had went from being number like 15 to 20 after my first meet to now being one of the top 5 guys. But the biggest difference was that my pull was still so far behind, which pulling 600 plus at 74 kilos is by no means bad. But I'm talking more so relative to where I am, you know, being at the top of my class around this time. You know, most of them are pulling at least 650. So I'm like, if everybody else can do this, why can't I? And so as soon as I adopted that mindset and really started like dialing down my technique and started doing all these little things and really emphasizing my pulls, what do you know? They started to take off, and I ended up at IPF Worlds, at this past IPF Worlds in June. My third was 611 pounds, which, although that was a small PR, it moved fairly easily. It moved like a second attempt, and that was really just to lock in the win. But the fact that I went from, you know, pretty much struggling, either going 1 for 3 on pulls or making just a minor 2.5 kilo PR, to being able to hit a very, very conservative third with the ability to, I think I could have easily pulled around 285 to 287 and a half on that day, which that's 628 to 633 in American units. So to be able to do that in just really like a few months was obviously that was the most progress by far that I had ever made with my deadlifts. And now, you know, obviously I didn't get to display how much more progress I've made at this past Raw Nats, but I'm now pulling, you know, 2 weeks out from Raw Nats, I pulled 639, and that was under the most fatigue that I had been under for that entire prep. And the plan was to pull around 672 or so, just depending on what I would need to pull to win. And you know, now I'm casually pulling what I was pulling for pretty much from my third for the most part, all the way up until this past Worlds, which was around 600 to 606. You know, I can literally go in pretty much any day now and pull over 600, and that's due to obviously technical changes and all of that, good programming, good staying on top of all of that. But the main point that I'm trying to make with this video, which I hope you guys are starting to get by now, is The biggest factor that's changed for me in all this time is just my mindset. Like I've lived it, as corny, as cliche, as whatever as it may be. Like it's not anything groundbreaking. It's not anything like super unheard of. But that's literally what it's been for me more than anything. Easily, just changing my mindset and going from this idea that I was just so far off from all of these numbers to that I'm now hitting to, you know what, I can hit those numbers, I can hit beyond those numbers. Because there was a time before I got into powerlifting where even squatting, 500 was just so crazy to me. Like it was something that I thought that I wouldn't be able to achieve. Like I know that sounds funny now with me squatting mid sixes, but it's like seriously, there was one point in time like 4 or 5 years ago where like squatting 500 and then squatting mid fives and so on and so forth, it just seemed crazy. Same with my bench, there was a point in time where I just knew that there's no way that I'd ever be able to touch 400 pounds. And if I did, it would be like way later on in my life. But what do you know, I'm benching well over 4 now, and I can casually hit that pretty much any day of the week now. And then the same with my pulls. There was a time where I thought even pulling 550 was just crazy, and then pulling 6 was crazy, and so on and so forth. And now, I'm trying to pull like 700 this year, 2020. If not at the Arnold, then most definitely at Raw Nets. And like all these numbers now that I've hit and that I have my sights set on hitting, I never would have imagined, if you would have told me 4 or 5 years ago that I'd be where I'm at right now as far as strength is concerned, I would literally like laugh and just think that that's crazy. There's no way. And like seriously, because I think 4 or 5 years ago, I didn't deadlift. I squatted like probably around 450 to 460-ish. And I benched around 325 to 330 around that time. But that was touch and go. So that was, let me get back on track. But yeah, that's basically what I'm saying, man. It's all about like just changing your mindset, changing your, and by no means am I saying that, this is some type of magic pill. Like all you have to do is tell yourself, I think I can, and boom, all of a sudden you're gonna, just make all this progress and become number 1 in the world and do this and that. I'm not saying that. It's not that type of thing. It's more so just the principle of, believing in yourself, believing that you can do, whatever you're trying to do, and believing that you can be greater than what you currently are. If you're whether you're someone that's been competing for years and you're on the international level and you're at the top, or whether you're someone that just started out and you're about to do your first local meet, set your standards a little bit higher. If you'd like to squat 500 one day, you tell yourself, I can do that. Don't doubt yourself. Don't take anything away from yourself. You can do all of that. Even if it takes time, even if that's later on, you can do all of it. So that's basically all I'm saying. If you change your mindset right now and like just be more positive with your training in general, then you'd be surprised. I'm telling you, next time if you're training, tomorrow morning, or if you're gonna train after you watch this video, if you start telling yourself whatever your weakest lift is, stop telling yourself that's your weakest lift and just start telling yourself, you know what, I'm gonna do whatever I gotta do to get this lift where I know it can be, and just start like emphasizing that and look at where you'll be at, a few months from now, in comparison to what you might be doing now. So that's really the whole point of this video. I hope you got something from this video. If you did, and if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you didn't enjoy this video, if you didn't get anything, then dislike, let me know you didn't get anything, and don't subscribe or unsubscribe. It's totally up to you. And I also hope you guys enjoyed watching the little process with getting the waves on check. If you guys want more videos like that, by the way, like just with me just brushing my hair and talking to the camera and all that, you can let me know down in the comments, and I will definitely keep that in mind for the future. But without further ado, we are coming to the end of the video. So like I said, do all that stuff that I just mentioned, and I will talk to you guys next time.